All right. Good afternoon. It is let's see, we're doing this live. So it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday afternoon. You might be watching this on another day. Glenn Stein Realty Executives here, buysellthevillages.com as our site. Please subscribe as well if you haven't subscribed. I've got some really fascinating news. So we haven't done a video probably in about 2 weeks. I was actually out for a little bit and didn't have a chance to actually report on some things. And sometimes that's a good thing. And I think in this case, interesting enough, like there wasn't a lot of change over the last 18 months to 2 years, after COVID hit and we saw like craziness happen. However, we saw a pretty substantial change, a big change in the real estate market in the villages in Florida over the last 2 weeks. And a lot of that has to do, I think, with interest rates. Like I work with a lot of people, a lot of uh, folks that live across the country, and the temperature around the country is, it's different areas, or some areas are still on fire. Some places that are like in the Southwest, temperature there is like in real estate is like still 100 degrees. Maybe it was 115 before. Some other areas are a little bit stagnant because of inventory counts being very, very low. Same thing in the villages. So when we're talking about the villages, inventory is still low. So when a little bit of a history lesson, quick history lesson, 450 plus homes were on the market spring, early 2020, just actually late winter, just before COVID hits. And then obviously when COVID hit, inventory, was pretty much at that number. And then after everything settled down and things opened up, then inventory just went on a slide, just like because demand just went crazy, and we hit this massive demand wave. Supply took a dip, and we went as low as like upper 40s, like went from mid 400s to like 48, 49 properties on the market. Like, wow. And in the midst of all that, obviously, during that time period, we got properties that are coming on the market in a normal way. It wasn't like there was nothing coming on the market. So that tells you the kind of demand wave that hit. What's happened over the last 2 weeks, and not just here in the villages, is that there has been a tapering back of demand. Not that there's no demand, just less demand. So as opposed to several offers coming in at once, might get one offer. I'm going to be checking. I'm waiting till the end of the month to check on days on market. Days on market in the village has been 4 or 5 days, actually 3 day, 3, 4, or 5 days over the last 7, 8 months, which basically means 3 to 5 days is the average amount of time it's taking. Home comes on the market, and then someone uh, puts in an offer, or several people put in an offer, and then you have an accepted offer. We go into contract. That's not till close, but to that point. So on the market to now under contract. I suspect that we're probably going to be, 10 to 12 days. That's a really rough estimate just based on what I'm seeing. In our own company, we've had a little bit more inventory hit the marketplace. We had 7 properties on Caravan this morning. We do caravans every single Wednesday morning. So great time to connect with your realtor because we get a lot of fresh homes just before caravan, usually in the beginning of the week. That's usually what happens, Monday, Tuesday, and then it goes on Wednesday. Not to say that we don't get new listings on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday or Sunday. It just tends to kind of flow in that direction. If you pay attention to MLS, a lot of times we'll have more inventory hit the marketplace at the beginning of the week. And then when we get towards, as we go through the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there tends to be less on the market, a few less because we have time for it to be on the market, and we have buyers that end up sucking up the inventory, buying the properties. So what we're seeing right now, to give you an up to date look, obviously we've seen, and for the folks that have followed this channel, that we've been anywhere between 70 to 80 active properties on the market. We've been really consistent. It's kind of a consistent number. A couple of weeks we jumped into the 90s, and then maybe there might have been a week or two over the last 6 to 8 months where it fell into the 60s, the amount of properties that are available in the villages on the MLS side. What I've noticed is also for the folks that know this, obviously there's a VLS side. The developer has their own version of resales, and that's pretty much mirrored our side. There's some conflicting information about that. We're not going to get into that here. I believe that it's pretty consistent. Our resales are the number is usually pretty consistent on the resale side. But what that tells me is that obviously demand has been great. Inventory now has jumped up. About 2 weeks ago, I think we're in the early 90s, maybe 92, 93, 94, and then went back to like 88 in the middle of the week. Now, 104 properties on the market. That's the current number, 104 properties. And that went up sometime last week. We went into that number, which means there's a lot of positives and negatives about that. So we're going to talk about the impact that has on people that are planning on moving to the villages. Let's talk about that. What impact that has? I think it has a couple of things. I think it's a good thing. Some people might not think that. Obviously, on the seller side, I think it's taking maybe slightly longer, a few more days. It doesn't mean that we're falling off a cliff. Oh my gosh, this is a major disaster. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is a few more properties on the market. What I am noticing is most of those properties are in the 375, 400 range, right? Like the lower end of the marketplace. I'm not seeing significant increase, maybe one or two more. Most of those properties are larger or larger priced homes, higher priced homes. So in that 4 to 5, 6 range, a little bit more inventory there. Anything under 4, there's been a little bit of an addition, but not a significant increase in inventory. Seeing some decent homes on the market, looking at some of the homes that we had on Caravan, looking at some of those, I thought pretty decent deals. Like, oh, okay, that's very interesting that's on the market, and it's been on the market for like 1, 2, or 3 days, and it's still there. So what I'm seeing is a little bit of a tempering. I think we are now moving into the time period where days on market, more of a normal marketplace. And I'll remind you, and I talk to my agents about this all the time, typically is in Sumter County, like south of 466, the average days on market might be 30 to 40 days back in the day. Back in the day as in like 2 years ago or before. And then anything north of 466, typically 45 to 60 days. Not uncommon to have that property that's going to sit on the market. Good property, nothing wrong with it. Actually, pricing is okay, right? Average pricing, about 90 days. Not atypical for it to take that long a couple of years ago. And of course, demand went crazy. So that means days on market went bananas, where we're seeing 3 and 4 and 5 days on market. And if anything stayed on the market longer than a week in the last 2 years, it was like, wait, what's wrong with it? There's something majorly wrong. I think we're heading more towards, I'm not saying we're going to go all the way back, because if we went to all the way back, and I'm trying to do a graph here, that would mean that we're basically falling off a cliff in the real estate market. That means a real disaster. I think the Fed, raising the interest rates, and now we're in the, I think 4.6 right now. That's significantly higher than what it was before, is cooling off the market where it was scorching hot. And the analogy is, it's like, the Fed is pouring cool, cold water on the market, not just our market, real estate market, and not just in the villages, but around the country, but also in a lot of other things, which I'm not an expert in. They're trying to keep the prices down. We know about inflation, that's been well spoken about within the news. That's part of what they're doing. And that's obviously going to impact pricing, and it's going to impact the markets, our market, real estate market. So that's what we're seeing. A little bit of an increase in inventory, the most we've seen in quite a while. I'd have to look back. And I know I've covered this. I just don't remember how long and what month it was that we were actually over 100. But it's been quite a while. It's been well over a year for sure, and probably closer to about 18 months since we've seen that kind of, probably sometime in the fall, maybe the fall of 2020 is my guess at this point. That's probably the last time, or maybe late 2020 is the last time we saw these inventory numbers. So more of a choice for buyers. I think that's a good thing for buyers. Be a little bit more selective. We're starting to see that around the country as well. So I think that's a healthy softening, which is exactly what we thought, but it's happening right now. That's what I want to let you know. So text me with questions, 352-572-3796, 352-572-3796. Also, I'd love to hear what you're seeing in your marketplace. So wherever you are, and I've got my hands on probably about 20 to 25 different markets around the country. I'd be really interested to know where you're actually living and what you're seeing, what your local real estate professionals are saying about your market. I'm telling you, obviously, as the expert in the Villages market, that's what's going on here. So if you have questions, let me know. You can also subscribe to our channel. And until next time, we'll see you soon.